So you may have recognized I'm coughing from time to time, but I have no COVID, just to make everyone be secure. It's just like one of those nasty flus, and I didn't want to cancel today's my presentation. So my name is Daniela. I'm responsible for global human resource or people and culture in a company, in a German company, what is very typical for the Mittelstand. We do industrial automation and robotic solution. We have employees around the world, but we are still small, so 1,800 employees. And what I wanted to share today is really the story what we experienced last year when we faced a cyber attack. And of course, I wanted to give you all my insight what is possible, because sooner or later, I'm pretty sure you will face it too. All the statistics say that, and the better you prepare, the better you can respond to that. All the information what I'm going to share with you today is also publicly has been shared with our employees, customers, and regulatory bodies. Again, I'm mindful not to put too much in the slides because, of course, of the matter of the situation. But everything what I verbally will share with you is absolutely public knowledge, and yeah. Okay, so first a little bit on the statistics. What is all these cyber attacks, and really why is that so important? You see the statistics from last year, Allianz, and we have somebody from Allianz here, I thought. And obviously this is an insurer, and companies are facing more and more cyber attacks. Make sure if you have an insurance that it even covers that. Our insurance didn't, so surprise. And you see here as well, especially towards the Western countries, almost all the companies are facing, or high numbers of companies in those countries, like from Ireland, Germany, France, UK, US, they are facing cyber attacks. And as I said earlier, if you haven't been facing that yet, you will be soon. I'm very convinced about that. Here there's also what type of cyber attacks. Most of the IT leaders actually in a survey from 2022 already said they have been dealing already with that. So in case you haven't dealt, but certainly your IT department. And what happens there, mostly it's starting with a phishing attack. You possibly are familiar about those awareness training, and I'm sure that hopefully after today you will be really carefully reading them and doing them. Data exfiltration, what means that? It means that your data is stolen. You know, the attacker takes that data from you. Cyber extortion, there is money, a ransom, so money is requested from the hackers in order that you get your data back, or that your data is being unencrypted. And of course, a ransom, for those who are not familiar with the term, that is a kind of software that is intruding into, or that is brought into your organization and will then block your data so that you are not able to access that. And even you see, if you're familiar with Gamma, I did my presentation with artificial intelligence, but also cyber criminals, they are exploring new technologies and AI to become really, really good in their technologies and how to prepare their attacks. You getting phishing emails, you would never guess this has been done by a hacker. You think that your best colleague has been written to that, and you will be doing absolutely everything to comply with that email. So be aware about that. And of course, a cyber attack, there is big monies involved. You see it also here from the statistics. Most of the organizations, they are not able or who have been involved in a cyber attack, they had to pay some ransom, some monies in order to get their money back, their data back, or actually unencrypted. So, some examples from the media. I will just point a few of them. You possibly heard so much more. Capital. This is a famous big company. This was one of the biggest cyber attacks last year from the UK. This is a UK pension company. They were attacked last year, and they said that roughly 20 million British pounds has been costing the cyber attack. At the time when they were hacked, they said very little data has been affected. But just last week, in the media, it was that more than 5,000 British people sued already Capita and went to court because of their data breaches. So it's not just that you are actually, as a company, paying for the cyber attack, even if you are not proving that you have been putting data security at the highest priority. Sooner or later, your customers will actually challenge you for that. So, and there's every day still court claims rising with Capita, so it's a really interesting case coming up. For those who are here from Germany, Universitätsklinikum Frankfurt, one of the biggest hospitals here in Frankfurt, has been hacked last year in October. Since then, they are back to fax, the law of German fax, because now invoices cannot be sent electronically, they are back to fax. The medical referrals needs to be back on paper, even so everyone in Germany tries. Can we finally have some digital revolution in the health sector? And I was just last week in the hospital for an appointment. Even the appointment can be done only on telephone, and you are like for long hours there to wait. It is a huge nightmare, and obviously this is a public company. This is not like a company who has like the resources to deal with that very quickly. This is like a state-owned organization. The same case is Südwestfalen IT. This has been also hacked last year in Germany. This is more than 100 communities and little cities in North Rhine-Westphalia. Data has been hacked, what is death certificates, passports, driver license, and all kind of sorts of legal documents what you get from your communities. They was actually, IT has been saying that there have been really big breaches of data security, and also the IT infrastructure was very poor. They didn't had proper guidelines on passwords. They didn't have two-factor authorization. Yeah, this is the German authorities, where unfortunately nobody can move, the digitalization forward. But it's all over, and there's really serious cases, So that's a little bit out of the media. I wanted to tell you now something about my company, or the company where I faced it. So we had last year in March, we were attacked by a hacker group. We actually found out, what we learned, we had then a forensics team that helped us to understand, what has all happened. In mid of March, what happened that our firewall was constantly broken down. And first our IT department thought maybe somebody in the IT department has done a little mistake. But we saw that actively our firewalls were completely shut down across all our countries. And we then later realized that we were attacked, that we received a phishing email. One of our employees clicked on that. The attackers has been 2 weeks in the company and has been spying on us, has been at that time exfiltrating data, more than million of data, of employee data, some customer data, but unfortunately not serious one, and has then actively attacking us after 2 weeks, has been leaving a note via the hackers here, and we have been encrypting your data, and we have also copies of your data. We wanted to get into negotiation with you. Please pay us a ransom if you want to have your data back, unencrypted. So then, what can we do? So during that time, we of course had to close down all our operations. We had to, close all our servers. We had to put all our emails across the world on hold. During that time, it took us several weeks and months to completely recover. So we had to also collect every single employee's computer, so 1,800 computers and a couple of more across the world had to completely re-establish the IT systems and reboot clean the computers and also re-establish the computer. And this has been a tremendous experience. And I have been involved from an HR perspective because we had to communicate with our employees. We had to inform a lot of authorities, and it has been a huge experience. And I wanted to give you now a couple of learnings that has been really helpful for us, and what I also, in case you face that, would be really helping you how to respond to that. So the first thing is, it is really important to set up a response team. I will go through that in a little bit more detail. You also need external support. You will be not able to manage these cases by yourself. You don't have the competences nor the resources to deal with that in a time-efficient manner to give an incident response. It costed a lot of money. We had to deal with experts around the world in order to help us, lawyers, IT experts, etc. There's a couple of precautions what you really need to take. For instance, we had to close all our bank accounts immediately because if any money will be transferred to the hackers. And then, of course, very important is inform and engage with all your stakeholders. First and all, of course, your employees, but also your customers. Everyone is really scared. Is that really a trustful employer? Is this really a trustful customer or vendor we still want to deal with? So we had to, really do a lot of communication. Back to the response team. So we learned what I said earlier, that the firewall was closed down. This was on a Friday evening. Then the management team has been informed. I got a call on Saturday at lunchtime that I need to be in the office on Sunday morning. Immediately, not to tell anybody, and I was one of the key members. We had senior executive from the management team, obviously IT, HR, because we had to speak with employees and secure also payroll operations. We had somebody who was in charge for the banking because we had to close banking accounts, and obviously sales and marketing for everything related emergency conversations with customers. We met the first couple of weeks in the office. This was, not in Frankfurt where I currently live, but in the headquarters in Rheinland-Pfalz. And of course, the IT team, we had to be 24 hours. But the management team, we had to be 6 days, and physically, and 7 days was from home. And we had a daily routine that in the morning at 9 o'clock we had a call, and at 4 o'clock, and each of us had to, follow up a number of activities to ensure really, who needs to be informed, what needs to be done. So it was extremely intense, And coming back, it was also a very interesting perception. Being in a company where usually we do lots of things, a decision is democratic. In this situation, this is war. You need to make authoritarian decisions. You need to allocate about certain funds. You need to make certain decisions where you cannot ask everyone, and you need to be very quick. So we had external support because obviously we don't have a permanent IT person who knows, all these legal terms or IT terms. We hired immediately an external team on IT expert. They were in charge of helping us with the forensic, what's actually happening here, what is what we are talking about, and also to treat intelligence, and also actively defending, because we were still in war, even though we knew already, we are attacked, we don't know, what else they will be intruding, etc. So then we had legal expert, because now it started the moment when we had to be extremely mindful what we are going to say to our employees, what we are going to say to our customers. If we say anything wrong, there's going to be another court case, And then, of course, a number of different authorities we had to talk to, and the legal expert helped us to prepare the memos. You know, all these GDPR experts, and even within Germany, there's a different one in Rhineland-Pfalz and in Baden-Württemberg, and on top of that for all the other countries, you know, and this is just one little activity I had to oversee out of all the others. And then cybersecurity consultants who helped us, okay, you know, how we should be negotiating with those criminals, what is our strategy, how should we approach that? Nobody had experience on that. What was the first precaution that we had to take? IT measures, we shut down all our operations, all servers, every single IT operations. So, and then we said, okay, let's secure all backups. And surprise, surprise, not everywhere was a proper backup. You learn that, you know, and then you're mindful. Then we had to buy some new IT equipment because none of the computers were working. All of that were no IT infrastructure. I bring my personal computer, and then I was able to type some memos. The IT department had to buy new equipment. We had to set up some temporary email accounts, also for hotlines, for applicants, for customers, for invoices. A huge load of things had to be done. Then financial measures, I already alluded to that. We immediately closed all bank accounts and informed certain stakeholders that we need to do that. And then employee measures, we had to inform our employees. And we had to say, well, guess what, you cannot come in on Monday. And we need to think about that, you know, what, when you can work and with what you can work. We had to think about furlough, the Kurzarbeit, et cetera. And this was, you know, really important to think this through. What does this, or what can we say? So then inform and engage. So I already alluded to it's really important that we spoke with all to the employees. We had no email. So what the quick thing what came to our mind was, let's set up a WhatsApp cascade. Of course, we were thinking, I mean, this is not what we learned in data privacy regulation, but nobody had the phone number in their mind from their employee. I don't even have the phone number from my husband. So if I don't have my phone, and obviously we couldn't use it because all our directory was closed down. So we had we set up a WhatsApp cascade, and we prepared a memo from my computer because I was the only one in the management team who had a private computer, and send it then through a WhatsApp cascade through all the organization down. We set up a management meeting twice a week. We set up FAQs, so employee FAQs, daily or every second day, where we collected a lot of questions and gave some clear instructions or updates, what is happening, what we know already, what you shouldn't do with your computer, what is the next guidelines, etc., etc. And of course, it's very important that the management is also getting close to their employees. Some employees are really worried and they don't understand the situation, or they're wondering, what is that happening? Is my job still safe, or should I go out there and find another job? Because if I'm not getting paid my money, who's going to pay my bills? The same is with the customers. You know, we are, the business what we actually do is extremely digital, so all operation with the customers were digital. They were like, can we trust you? Did you already send your intruders and your ransom over to us? What do you know about that? And we were working with the forensic team. We are not quite sure what we can say, what we know. So, and we provided very clear guidelines what our customer-facing staff was allowed to say, and what obviously was approved by the lawyers, what we allowed to say. Then, of course, there's a lot of communication to authorities and third parties, also to vendors, because they were worried, can our bills be paid and invoices? So, and then I have a couple of short examples of best practices for really from an HR perspective of how to manage your employees. So communication protocols, I said already earlier. So it was absolutely key, we need to inform our employees. I mentioned that we set up a WhatsApp cascade, we set up temporary emails. Of course, that didn't happen, the temporary emails. the next day we had to, think about a vendor where we have some temporary emails. We had to think about that, how we're going to pay for them, how we're going to give some temporary equipment to everyone. And we came up with these employee FAQs that we really daily in the beginning, and then later every second or third day, we send out a statement to employees what was distributed through their management chain, and what they could be then talking with their manager through if they had any questions about it. But it was really important that employees know about from us and not from the press or from the local bakery or whoever knows something, what is happening and what guidelines we give. Keep in mind that our company, we are a tech company or engineering company. Most of the talent is extremely skilled with IT skills. They know their way around, how they maybe could, work a little bit, but we were very clear that we don't want anybody to switch on their computer because we don't know if there's some ransomware. We don't want you to use your external drive or any other equipment if that is not approved from IT. And we learned earlier in the nice presentation from Korea that Germans like to rebel and everyone does what they wanted to. So to control that was very challenging, So, but communication is very important. Then it's very important, and again, we are a company full of engineers. From a management side, it is very analytical driven, and they were sometimes not very used to talk to all their employees to say, hey, what's going on? How do you feel today? Some of them were really worried. Does it mean I need to go on Kurzarbeit, on furlough? What can I do? Because customers are asking me about that invoice. What should I say? And it needs a lot of management guidelines. What can those employees say or what they are worried? What can I do with my holidays? Does it mean I need to now take holidays? Lots of questions, and it's very important that the manager is closely there and gives some comfort and support. And then emergency plans, because operations were not as usual. We needed to shift our employees around. We said most of the people from the software teams, they needed to have in the IT operations because they're very skilled and they can help with that. But then there was some other function, they were deprioritized and they had to be at home, right? So, and we needed to think then, okay, what can they do and what can we tell them and how can we, leverage their resources. We, of course, had to, engage with authorities to think about Kurzarbeit and furlough arrangements, what is never easy but is really required because we couldn't normally work. Payroll operations. Payroll is also under my responsibility, and we were really worried whether we are able to pay our staff because payroll operations are working on a system. And the German payroll is done in-house in our company. The others, they were outsourced. So, and since we have, nobody could use the computer, all the systems were closed down. We were like, can we secure payroll? How can we do that? We don't have the data from almost 2,000 employees out of our head and what they should be getting. So we then prioritized that 50% of the payroll staff, they were the first one to get a computer, and we switched on the payroll system back. Of course, we didn't have all the correct payroll information. We made an estimate, and the team had to make a very short payroll run because usually they have an entire month in Germany to do it. But this time they had no clear information about who take holidays, who had some overtimes, and all these kind of things what blue-collar workers have, and we have 80% of blue-collar workers. So we managed eventually to do a payroll run, but we paid estimates where we were really, really proud that we managed, because first we were thinking we need to speak with the banks, and then the bank maybe should help us, to repay it. Of course, several mistakes has happened during that payroll operations, but in the end we were able to secure that. we also had to ensure that we inform everyone about what is going to be paid and when, because nothing is worse than when your employees discover and learn from your bank account that maybe there is not the same or not the correct payment as usual, and then there is another big issue. Data security. I said earlier that this is again public knowledge, therefore I'm sharing that. Our data has been leaked, or we have data exfiltrated. That means especially employee data has been affected, employee contracts, travel license, passports. And they have been stolen, copies have been taken, and we have been threatened by the hackers that they will be published that in the dark net, where they will, sell those data, and somebody else, in some countries who are really happy to have a German passport, would love to buy that data. Obviously, we as a management team decided we will not pay the ransom, and that means it is very likely that data will be published. So we have been thinking we need to inform all our employees, plus it is a legal requirement from a compliance perspective. And we worked then with our legal team that we provided an additional code, so whoever won that show of our employees could get access via a special code to the dark web and see if any of their personal data is published there. Just, you cannot do anything, but you at least know, is my data there? And we don't know if that is there maybe because you bought 3 years ago something on Amazon and they leaked, or if it was really because of us. But we wanted to give this special code to everyone and to make really our employees aware that we care, and we wanted to give you the best support. And of course, these kind of code distribution also had to be coordinated and organized and informed. Okay. So another activity what was out of usual operation, but what we had to be doing. Then the ramp-up plan, because we had to stagger ramping up or reinstalling all our systems. We couldn't say, okay, now tomorrow we switch on all our systems, plus you can't do that. They all had to be cleaned, they all had to be certified, etc. So we made a priority plan. And guess what? Nobody was happy. So the same with the redistribution of the laptops. So this was again back to a decision what we had to take a decision where management said, okay, this is the priority, then you, then you, then you, and then you, and this system and this system. But it's important to have somebody who really structures that and also explain, we have made this decision. Then training, we did even throughout the cyber attack a lot of training and said, it is so important. Everyone should be aware about what is phishing, what is cyber. Nobody should have the password from last week or from 3 years ago, or what is, the company name or your dog's name or whatever. It needs to be really complex. There is a lot of other things, social engineering and whatever, what people need to be aware about it. And we still found in the training during the cyber attack that people were naughty, and some of them have used their password from 3 years again, and have been, being very resistant to change, and have been not the most cooperative, because before it was like this as well. So, but it's still important. You need the training, and not everyone will behave like this. And we even find management has been also not the best role models. Then care. This is my last slide, and then what we also learned, I said earlier, it was like a war situation, and our IT department felt this was like a really stressful situation. Most of them, they felt similar, like post-traumatic stress, because they had to make the decisions which employee I help first, because finally every employee tried to call them, say, I have this issue, I have this issue, I have this issue. Yeah, we had a IT department that can only answer once a question. Also, when we switched on the system, which system we switched on first, does this has an impact on furlough arrangements, and it's the IT department feel extremely stressed. They felt really vulnerable. They feel the decision makers they are not able to cope with that. So what we actually decided, we made a workshop with a psychologist afterward, where they really could express, all their worries, their concerns, and what they could learn about that. We also put them in touch with some other companies who had similar experience, also with cybersecurity cases. And it has been really helpful, and the IT department really appreciated that we have been thinking about such kind of measures and not just, let's get the systems back. So.
Thank you so much.